This is Jimmy Cabs, tape to broadcast 5150 interview series of Bulldozer Magazine on a lovely Saturday evening here in the lovely city of Lincoln Heights at the Maidens of Metal 4, which is a festival celebrating bands fronted by female. Would that be appropriate? Right?
Yes.
I'm here with Blade Killer. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
I'm Kelsey.
Carlos.
All right, this is very interesting. As most of you know, for those that follow me wherever, you know that I just have a disdain for the young metal generation. It's no secret to you guys. It's very rare that I find creativity, definitely a fresh new spin on what I've observed for the last 3 to 4 decades. What I like about Blade Killer is you're old souls with new bodies, very young, fresh, new bodies. Question number one is, how is it that you not only capture that 80s real heavy metal spirit, but you do it so well without rehashing, replicating, duplicating, like the rest of your young peers?
I don't know, man. It's just are from bands that not very many people, I would say, know about, I guess. So when I try to write, I kind of try and write to whatever I feel is, I don't know, it's weird. Your question is kind of crazy to answer, dude. I just don't know how I write the music, man.
Let me elaborate a little more. What I hate about most young bands, regardless of what genre that they're playing, is that they're literally replicating. I understand the inspiration. I understand looking up to that era. I understand even wanting to create and duplicate that era. But there's no creativity, man. There's no like personal musicianship put into it. It's like, I mean, in some cases, some bands are literally stealing album cover names, you know?
So you could say one thing is, anytime we do write a part, we always, if we do hear something like, oh, this sounds like this, then we'll automatically, all right.
Yeah, maybe take it out. If there's something that like
reminds
sounds like this, then we won't write it. Because if it's already been done, we're not trying to do things that are already done. We're trying to take what we're inspired by and what we're passionate about and recreate that, but in our own way. Like, this is the way that we do heavy metal, basically. And like, I think it's also too a mix of genres that we're all into. Like John, our guitarist, he's into punk and all these different influences that I think kind of bring that into. And I think that when heavy metal first started, you have these 70s rock bands that influence them, and like, you know, like, so I think it's a mix of influences that kind of create our own sound, but we're still so heavily influenced by heavy metal that it gives us our tone and our sound and our image.
What I really like is the fact that not only do you take that inspiration and mold it onto your own, but as I mentioned before, old souls and new young bodies, you really take it to a whole new level in 2015 to your audience, and yet you still are able to captivate and mesmerize old decomposing fuckers like myself. How do you do that? Is that a natural process, or explain to me that?
I think it's a lot of people do like this kind of music because, I mean, a lot of people are in who are metalheads. They know who Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, all the old school shit is. So when you listen to us, that kind of reminds us of it, and we're kind of different from a lot of bands, different bands. So it just kind of, okay, these guys are different. I like these guys. It's just a little something different than from what everybody else is doing.
And I think it's important too to kind of get the attention of the audience of the older heads, because they're the ones who were around when the originals were there and stuff.
You're getting the seal of approval.
And you have that, but then also having these younger kids who are just starting to break into the scene and kind of starting to discover all these different bands, and then to be able to be like, capture that. We were in New Mexico and we had these young dudes that came to the show. It was like a 13 and over show or something, and they were just stoked. They were just like, how do you guys do that? How do you guys like, they were just like shocked. But it's cool to be able to reach that audience, but also both audiences, and kind of please both.
One of the things that's very interesting is that here in the United States, there seems to be an obsession with labels.
What?
Labels.
Oh.
You know, trying to label your music. I like the fact that you guys don't use any theatrics on stage. You're not using any stage antics. You're not putting on a quote-unquote show. You're taking it literally old school, which is letting the music do the talking for you.
We've had that asked in interviews before, like what makes us stand apart or what is our stage thing, and like I think we can allow our music to stand for itself, and if we're solid enough and have that power behind it, that I don't think we'd have any problem grasping anybody's attention in the crowd.
How do you take that energy into the studio? You released an EP a while back, and I thought it was very interesting that when I listened to that EP, it really captured that live element. How did you do that?
Oh, really?
That was just due to...
Yeah, dude, that's just, I guess that's just who we worked with, I guess. I mean, it's just a small dude in a small little studio. I told him kind of what we wanted. Obviously, we want to just, we never want to be too polished. I don't like polished kind of music myself.
I love that.
So
keeping it raw.
Yeah, that was the plan. Just to keep it raw, keep it old school sounding, keep it traditional, of course, and just that's what comes out, and that's all.
What's going on with Blade Killer now in 2015? Have you guys gone off to Europe yet? Because I think you should definitely go to Europe, because it seems that bands of this caliber are not only really more appreciated than in the United States, not to put down the United States audience, but as far as capacity-wise and exposure, but you belong there.
No, you're right, and that's our goal. One of our main goals is to get out to Europe, because I do know how the audiences are out there, and this is their kind of music. This is their passion.
Reach a whole different audience in a sense. We have our fans here, but I think going out there would reach a whole nother audience, I guess, and they're crazy out there, which is awesome, and I think would be...
It's in their blood out there compared to out here. This is what they grow up with from when they're little. I mean, because all the festivals that I've been out there, you'll see an older dude, his son, and then his little son, or his daughter or something. It's just, that's how they grow up. And
what is it about heavy metal that really encompasses and captures and motivates both of you?
It's the passion and the feeling that you get from the music. When you're out there with, like, let's say you're watching a thrash band, Exodus or somebody like that, Slayer, you're in there in the passion, the pit. That's the passion. For here, with heavy metal, it's more of like the feel, you're singing more, you're headbanging. It's more of the feel, just bringing it in. You feel more of the energy. I feel with heavy metal. It's just a lot of energy and passion with the music, to me.
What about you, Kelsey?
I think it has to do with definitely the power behind it, but I think it also has to do with kind of encompassing everybody in the audience, getting everybody. And it's not a genre about fuck everybody. It's about just like, this is your life, hell yeah, let's fucking play some heavy metal. Like, you put on a Diamond Head record and you just want to be like, it just inspires you. It just wants you to like play and just
Party,
I don't know,
or
party,
just hang out or do what you want. It's heavy metal. Anytime we party, it's always heavy metal. It's never like you're back there listening to death metal and shit. You want party music, you listen to heavy metal, and you're just...
It makes you feel good. It's upbeat. It gives you life in a sense, and it gives you like passion, and it inspires me.
I noticed that you play here, especially in Los Angeles, you play with a very diverse set of bands. Do you find yourself being isolated and separated from the rest of the so-called Los Angeles fan base, or do you find yourself being acknowledged and embraced for what you're doing? Because everybody always follows like a herd. You guys are definitely not a herd. You're on your own. Do you find that people appreciate what you're doing?
Yeah, I think so. I think out here, though, we're a heavy metal band, and I don't think you see that. It's not as common as a thrash or death metal band. So we are going to be put on bills with thrash and death metal bands, but it also allows us to stand out among the rest of the lineup. And I think we can use that to our advantage and get people to hear us, whether it be, we're metal, we're heavy metal, we're not death metal or thrash metal, but I would rather...
And you're proud of that.
Yeah, exactly. I would rather stand alone than stand in a herd, I guess. So, yeah, I think we're proud of that.